Good morning, everyone. I am Janvi, roll number 17 BPE 022, and today we are going to study about ERDMP for City Gate Station, that is Emergency Response and Disaster Management Plan. These are the topics that we will be covering today. So the first thing that comes to our mind is what is an ERDMP? That is the planning and response strategy taken for mitigation of emergencies caused by major accidents. The primary objective of ERDMP is to control the events that can cause harm and to prevent the further escalation of any such events. For example, gas leakage from pipelines. It can be hazardous and thus active measures should be taken to mitigate it. These actions or responses are based on pre-designed ERDMP. Also, ERDMP assists in minimizing effects on biodiversity. For instance, during commissioning of CGS, utmost care is taken to prevent the leakage and the effects on environment like deforestation are minimized. Risk assessment and analysis is done prior to setting up of CGS. For preparation of ERDMP, 7 phases are involved. The first phase is hazard identification and risk analysis. In this, an event with imminent threat of turning into an accident must first be identified and risk associated with it must be observed. In case of CGS, for instance, the gas leak, which is a threat to whole system as well as environment, must be studied and utmost care must be taken. Second is preventive measures. Based on the evaluation of available information, a rapid analysis of severity of likely accident is done. Then, a suitable course of action identified which will help in eliminating causes that led to spread of accident. Now, to contain the gas leak, what preventive measures should be taken are included. Third is the preparedness measures, which include all necessary activities to ensure a high degree of readiness. The fourth is response procedures. In this, an action plan with roles and responsibilities of stakeholders are incorporated. The next phase is recovery phase, which involves long and short-term activities that assists in all the systems back to normal operation. The next step is cleanup and disposal. After the accident is controlled and contained effectively, cleanup of the accident site and disposal of waste generated due to accident are undertaken. The last phase is documentation of the event. All the aspects of accident, its progress, steps undertaken for mitigation, damage and injury must be documented for subsequent analysis of accident prevention in future. Also for damage estimation, insurance recovery and compensation payment. Images of accident site and main objects are involved and must be documented before the cleanup and disposal. The fundamental goal, however, is to recommence operation as soon as possible, and ERDMP acts as a substitute for maintaining safety standards in facility. There are various terms and definitions that are used, and these are given by PNGRB Act and Regulations GSR 39E. Definitions, some of the main definitions or most commonly used terms are board or emergency response vehicle or ERV, which means a vehicle for handling emergencies having necessary equipment meant for rescue and relief operations. ERV can be put to use within installation. The another is risk analysis, which means the identification of undesired events that lead to the materialization of a hazard. Also, there are three levels of emergencies, that is level 1, 2, and 3, which are given by the PNGRB board, and this will be discussed further in the slides. The next step is applicability. It includes the ERDMP as the organizational structure, and it looks after the structure, facilities, equipment, services, infrastructure, etc., which are necessary to respond to the emergency situation, which could have on site as well as off site implications as a receipt, storage, and dispatch points. Also, it should be covering things relating to transportation, explosion, fire, bomb threat, etc. ERDMP also includes and applies to all those governmental agencies, external agencies, and all the stakeholders of the organization, contractor, and facilities providing assistance for an event of emergency. Now, my friend will continue further.
Hello everyone, myself Chirag Padiadra. My roll number is 17BP011. Today I will cover the possible hazards at city gas station as well as the scope and intent. So, gasoline is highly flammable and can be very dangerous if proper safety precautions are not followed. The most prevalent risks associated with the gas station environment hazards are fire and explosion. So there are basically the many types of the possible hazards at city gas station. First is falling in the eating joints, wall and tools. Spilled fuel and oil are also significant slipping hazards. Gas leakage from joints and wall, diffuse of evicted gas, noise pollution, fire in CGS. Managing a gas station means we'll have to manage the inevitable fire risks, obstructed exit, where with the presence of the abandoned gasoline can cause a disaster. Limiting fire risks required the keeping all escape routes and fire exits clear at all times. Electrical shock. Misuse or poorly maintained equipment is typically the start of the electrical hazards. The risk increases when the worker uses the equipment in the wet environment. Cutting down gas station electrical risks is difficult but not impossible. Wastage filters, stack gas, unsuitable lighting, falling, and the sleeping. So now we talk about the scope. Scope shell will cover the mainly the identification of the emergency as well as the mitigation measure. In the mitigation measure, we include the attempt to reduce and eliminate the risk or disaster. Third is the preparedness to develop plan for the action when disaster or then emergency occur. So also we include the responses that mobilize the necessary emergency services, including the respondents, primary, secondary, tertiary, like the fire services, police services, medical services, including the ambulance, government as well as the non-government services. The post-disaster recovery with aim to restore the affected area to its original condition. So we now cover that intent. Intent it is intended to operate this regulation to develop a ERDMP that should be concise and informative so that the member of the emergency control the organization should be able to quickly refer to the action plan to determine the important function that are being carried out. Also to manage the emergency and not to use ERDMP just a reference material for training as well as to action plan to determine the important functions that are being carried out, to manage the emergency and not to use ERDMP just a reference material, also to prevent a casualty both on-site as well as the off-site, to reduce the damage to property, machinery, public and the environment, to develop a state of readiness for a proper and the orderly preparedness like equipment and the personnel, to provide a incident management organogram with clear mission and lines of authority as well as the field supervision and the unfield command, to ensure orderly and timely decision making and response process include the notification standard operating procedure. The last is to maintain a good public relation. There is a that we have to consider while the doing the intended. It is that no two locations shall be identical in respect of layout, surrounding, product, storage quantity, meteorology, data, etc. Therefore, the ERDMP will be location specific as per the available sources. Now we're talking about the ERDMP implementation schedule. There are basically 6 types of the activity we should include in the schedule 1 as per the PNGRB regulation. First activity is the on-site emergency plan. For that, implementation time is required around the 3 months. For compliance status, yes. Second is a off-site emergency plan. For that, implementation time from the notification date is around 3 months, and compliance status is yes. Third is the resources in position. Implementation time around 6 months, and the compliance status is yes. Fourth is accredited third-party certificate of ERDMP. For that, implementation time is around 1 year. The compliance status is under preparation. Fifth is the testing and the mock drills, basically used in the on-site. We are in that around implementation time is around 3 months, and the compliance status is yes. Last is the testing and the mock drill in off-site. For that, implementation time is around 12 months, and the compliance status is yes.
Hello, my name is Suraj Kumar Chauhan. My roll number is 17BP018. I will be discussing about pre-emergency planning. Now, if we have any emergency, we can't do planning at that time. Planning should be done beforehand so that at times of emergency, we can take necessary actions. So, there are three main types of planning. First is hazard identification, second is risk analysis and risk assessment, third is hazard study, that is hazard and operability study. Now, let's see what is hazard identification. It is the first steps towards ERDMP, which is to identify potential on-site and off-site hazard, such as gas leak. In CGS, there might be a gas leak. Spills, fires, explosion. If fire is not controlled, it may result into explosion, transportation incident, pipeline ruptures, equipment failures in CGS, as well as nature calamities, which may cause potential damage to them. So, hazard identification includes information on toxicological, physical, and chemical properties of the substances being handled in the format of material study datasheet. Now, in CGS, natural gas is being transported through pipeline. So, the physical and chemical behavior of natural gas, such as its composition, its UEL, that is upper explosive limit, its LEL, that is its lower explosive limit, etc., should be known. Now, the identification of potential impact on downwind air quality or downstream water quality from an incidental release and possible damage to human flora and fauna and animal health. For example, if there is any gas leak, it will contaminate the surrounding environment, or if there is any pipeline below riverbed, and if there is any spill, it may contaminate water body. So this should be taken care of. Third is hazard or potential damage to the installation at CGS due to nature calamities like flood, earthquakes, cyclones, and landslides. Second is risk analysis and risk assessment. It is the second step of ERDMP process to determine the risk of an incident associated with each hazard. The procedure is as follows. Identify potential failures or incidents, including its frequency, like what are potential failures or incidents that may occur in CGA, such as overpressure, gas leak, explosion, and what are their frequencies. Now, calculate the quantity of material that may be released in each failure and also estimate the probability of such occurrence. Like if there is a leak in CGS for about 10 to 20 minutes, how much gas is leaked out in the atmosphere? We should know that. Then we have to evaluate the consequences considering the most probable and worst case events. Like if there is any equipment failure or any pressure buildup, the worst case scenario may be explosion. So we have to consider this and make our planning like what we should do in such situations. After assessing the risk, maximum tolerable criterion must be defined and above which the risk shall be regarded as intolerable. The risk should also be made as low as reasonably practicable (LR) and least impacting the neighborhood. In the figure, we can see IRPA, individual risk per annum. So 10 power minus 5 per year, which means 10 per million per year. It is the if any person standing at the point of this level of risk would have 1 in 1 lakh chances of being fatally injured per year. Now 10 power minus 6 per year, it is very negligible, and we can maintain normal precautions. If IRPA is 10 power minus 5 per year, it is low and we can look for cost effective alternatives. If IRPA is 10 power minus 4 per year, it is high and we have to investigate alternatives. If it is 10 power minus 3 per year, it is too high and we have to make sufficient effort to improve it. Now, if there is a greater than 10 power minus 3 per year, then it become an intolerable risk and fundamentals improvements is needed. So third is hazard study. So hazard and operability study is a structured and systematic examination of a complex plant or existing process or operation in order to identify and evaluate problems that may represent risk to personnel or equipment. The intention of performing a HAZOP is to review the design to pick up design and engineering issues that may otherwise not have been found. The technique is basically the breaking of overall complex design of the process into a number of simpler sections called node, which are then individually reviewed. It is carried out by a suitably experienced multidisciplinary team during a series of meetings. The HAZOP technique is qualitative and aims to stimulate the imagination of participants to identify potential hazards and operability problems. So we have taken some examples like if there is a high flow in the CGA, then the corresponding guide word will be more. If there is a low flow, then less. If there is a no flow, then none. Similarly, it is shown for pressure, temperature, level and draining venting as well. Now my friend will continue.
Good morning. My name is Deepen Chawda. My roll number is 17BP019. Today's our topic is ERDMP for city gas station. My topic is emergency mitigation and emergency preparedness. First, coming to the emergency mitigation, there are mainly three kind of mitigation should be there. First is the basic requirement of ERDMP, second is resources mobilization, third is incident preventive measure and procedure. Now coming to the basic requirement of ERDMP, there should be a site plan installation for the indicating the boundary walls and exit and entry plan. It means it shows that if there is any kind of emergency at a city gate station, there should be an entry and exit gate, and the location of plan of the installation of the neighboring district should be 2 kilometers in the same direction, and the internal and external emergency contact number should be there at a city gate station. For the if there is any emergency, we can directly contact the police and firemen for the immediate contact the city gate station. Now coming to the resource mobilization, it contains the manpower requirement, appliance or equipment, communication facilities like landline phone or a mobile phone, and the safety equipment, transport, list of emergency drugs and appliance, firefighting materials. Now coming to the incident preventive measure and procedure. It requires the health and safety environment policies, the proper layout and inter-facility distance, and the all standby equipment should be tried and operated periodically and recorded. Early warning alarm system is installed at a city monitor, and the proper layout and the inter-facility distance need to be required for the city gate station. Now measures. There are after the indicating the prevention measures. Now we are coming to the preparedness measure. There are mainly three kind of the emergency handle. First is emergency drill and mock exercise. Second is training. Third is mutual. First is emergency drills and mock exercise. Each mock driller should be recorded with the observation and the deficiencies to be rectified within the 24 hours. It means that there should be in 24 hours, it should be required at a city gate station. The warning system and the first aid evacuation procedure and a definitive treatment procedure should be tested periodically. It means at a regular time, it need to be require some the safety requirement, so that it should be clean after some point of time. The testing and a mock driller for the on-site emergency plant should be carried out in 3 months, 3 months, 3 times in 12 months. It means that at average of 4 months, we should be clean it for one time. Now coming to the training. The ERDP shall be easier to use if the training material and general philosophy or emergency prevention and the control are kept spare from the working plan. Okay. There should be 2 points to be considered in the mind. The training shall be imparted to all the personnel likely to be involved directly or indirectly in the emergencies. It means that there should be police and fire protection team, and the standby unit should be in contact immediately. The contract personnel and contract labor shall be allowed to start working only after the clearance of the attending the passing the safety training, so that after the only the training they are the skill to present at the city gate station. The refresher training shall be conducted at regular intervals. Okay. Now coming to the meteorites. The meteorites should be in the level 2 emergencies by the rendering the manpower, medical and the firefighting equipment. To make the emergency plan success, there are some points for the meteorite should RS under. The first is the type of hazard in each installation and firefighting measure. It means the which kind of hazard is around the city gate station. It should be defined, and it should be pre-planned. And now coming to the next point is the type of equipment that will be deployed and a procedure for making replenishment. So the equipment should be replenishment, so that they can be used according to their requirement. Third is the familiarization of topography and drill for access and exit detail carried by the mutual aid. Okay, thank you.
My name is Parag Borania, and my roll number is 17BP013. Coming towards the response procedure and measures, which are very important aspects to be considered at a time of an accident or on or before the accident. And E01. Aspects are very talking about the accident or incident taking place at any location or the setup or any installation. So there are basically 3 response procedures that are carried out during emergency. So first is zoning and maps. So this is very important method that we consider at a time of an accident, that can be mapped as a quantitative risk analysis report. A map should include the area or the vicinity where the accident has happened, and it should also address the demographic information, like how many people are there around the area or how many people have been evacuated, and it should include all the information, so that that map should be again submitted to the district management or district disaster management team, so that they can use it as a proof. Then coming to the layout and flow diagram. So this is a procedure which includes the step by step things that need to be carried out in order to mitigate that problem or to solve that problem, like which are the equipments we require, which team will operate in which area, which team will do what task, like what are the different steps and equipments required. Then comes to the manpower data. Manpower data includes the number of people working at the time of the emergency. Like company has its own people working for their statutory work that is need to be done. But on the other side, they need to develop an emergency team as well, that that should be responsive at the time of the incident as early as possible. So they need to keep the report of the people like according to the shift, 24-hour shift, 12-hour shift. So these three are very important and basic parameters that need to be considered by any company. Coming to the three other aspects which are taken into consideration. So first is emergency shutdown procedures in the plant. So each and every employee or the worker should have the knowledge like where is the emergency push buttons are there, where are the emergency valves are there, where are emergency switches, and they should have the knowledge when to press it and when not to press it. So they should have the knowledge of different sirens as well, like how to activate the siren, what is the actual meaning of the siren, and every emergency procedure should be followed as per the OISD 144 because that is mostly practiced in every plant or the installation. Coming to the response procedures for spilled materials, like this is a very important parameter that need to be declared because there are chemicals and various type of gases used by various industries that are there in the downstream or at the city gas station as well. So spilled material should not be spread away, or care should be taken that so that that could be contained in a small area and not in the far area because the different type of animals and habitat will be affected by it. Various scheming of methods should be used in order to clean that spill out, and various draining of things should be there. If our material is acidic or alkaline, so accordingly the neutralization process should be taken care of. It should also be taken care of that that chemical or the spill should not reach the groundwater, otherwise it will contaminate it. So these are various parameters that need to be taken care while responding toward the spilling of materials. Coming toward the leakage, this is very basic or the general accident taking place in any industry or any part of the installation. So the care that need to be taken out is we should first we have the knowledge of sprinkling of water on the outer surface of the tanks so that the temperature could not rise. Otherwise, if temperature would rise at the highest level, the tank or the vessel would burst off and it will. So vessel and buckets, fire extinguishers should be there, like how to operate training should be given to different people. Various types of leakages and plans include cylinder fire, electric fire, office fire, road tanker fire, different type of pressure relief valve fire, then there will be LPG freezes, compressor and pump fire. So these are different leakages that are inculcated in there. So these are the basic response procedures and measures that need to be taken into consideration when an accident is taking place. Yes, coming towards the emergency organization and responsibility. So overall objectives of any organization that are working for the emergency should include these, like promptly control problems as they develop at the scene. They should have knowledge, like basic knowledge of how to escape, how to respond to the siren, where to go, when to go, how to take everything. Then comes to the like various points are mentioned here. Company should or the people should follow standard operating procedures that are designed as per the government regulations and the cooperation of the company. There should be round the clock coverage at the organization in order to check whether everyone are present at the site. If there is anyone missing at the site, there should be a gathering point in the location where everybody needs to be taken away at the time of accident, and everything should be done according to the ERDMP emergency plans. So coming to the emergency organization chart, this is very basic chart which is followed in almost every company. There would be changes according to the various availability and the misability of the components. But this is very basic chart from where you can see at the top we have offsite incident controller, which falls and the various companies, or not the companies, you can say boards coming under are medical and service and ambulance, fire brigade services, police services. We have municipal affected stakeholders. Why we need them? We need them to carry out different type of activities, like fire would carry out the stopping of the fire and taking the burned people to the hospital. Police would come for the law purpose. Then affected stakeholders will come for the insurance purpose. there will be different kind of other activities also going on, but these are very basic, and this is carried out according to the levels, like level 1, level 2, level 3. Then we have chief incident controller, whose role become very important in addressing the situation. Then comes the site incident controller, who is actually present at the site and who has to make different kind of decisions. So he is the person who will carry forward the different type of information to the chief incident controller, and he is authorized to take under control support services, administration and communication, fire and safety, and operational team. So yeah, coming to the roles and responsibilities of various people, as we discussed in the previous slide, according to the levels. So as I said, chief incident control is the main people, or the main person who is responsible to address the situation, like what was the cause of the event, like what went wrong, and what are the requirements other than the given requirements, what are the future plans, how to mitigate the area, like main or the major things which will be addressed will be by the chief incident controller. Then comes the site incident controller. Site incident controller carries out the task of managing the his crew, managing the team, providing them with the tools, like giving them the instructions of how to carry forward the rescue of the people. Everything will be, and he is the person who will be present at the site and who will carry forward all the messages in the form of reports to the chief incident controller. Coming to the administration and communication coordinator. Now his role is to divert the people or the agencies which are coming towards the have happened. So they need to give them the address, they need to give them the place to stay, to keep their equipments on. So their role becomes very important at a time, otherwise there will be miscommunication or time management problem, then fatality may go high as well. Then comes the fire safety coordinator and fire team. This is very much operative team at the time of the fire that have happened. The various procedures, like they need to take care of the water level or the water reservoir that they are carrying, like is it enough. They need to carry forward on a different kind of chemicals as well if there is a gas leakage, if there is a spill out. So, and the coordination between the crew members is also a very critical role, so that they can mitigate the accident in a very limited time. So these are some of the responsibilities of the fire safety team. And at the end, it comes the support and auxiliary services for major installations. It includes various services like various non-governmental organizations coming to rescue people. They will provide them food. They will provide them with the inhabitant or the residents. So everything needs to be carried forward in a very proper way. So these are the main 5 teams or the organization which will be working at a time of the events or accident.
So the sixth part is emergency infrastructure. There are mainly two parts of emergency infrastructure. First one is emergency control center, which is a mandatory part of the infrastructure, and second is assembly points. Now, following supplies and dedicated equipment are made available at this ECC. A copy of the ERDMP is made available. Maps and diagrams showing buildings, roads, process lines, drainage trenches, and utilities such as air and nitrogen. Maps showing the site surrounding area. Names, address, and telephone number of employees displayed. Updated list of names, address, and telephone numbers of offsite groups. Dedicated and reliable communication equipments. Logbooks for recording the sequence of events that have been occurring provided to assist in investigating causes and also preparing the reports. Next slide. Now here is the assembly points as per layout with escape route and assembly points. So emergency assembly near security main gate area is pre-designated areas in safe zone as per quantitative risk assessment. Depending on the location of the emergency, the assembly point can vary. According for each potential hazardous zone, a specific assembly point is also identified. and all designated assembly points are clearly marked with a directional display board along the route. So, which also includes the fluorescent lights in case of any emergency. During an emergency, pre-designated person would take charge of the point and take the roll call of the people reporting. So in case of any emergency, so to ensure the safety and health of the crewmates and staffs, pre-designated person will take the roll call of all the team members. The assembly point coordinators will keep in touch with chief incident controller, ensure the assembling of residents, request the assembled person not to get panic and be ready for evacuation. Next slide. Declaration of on-site and off-site emergencies. So if any emergency happens, then what are the chronological order in which staffs have to follow? So initial announcement of an emergency. Any untoward incident emergency has to be reported either by the person or through telephone or VHF. VHF means very high frequency, or by any other means to the location. Incident controllers will decide the nature of emergency. In the event of emergency, the same will be communicated to all coordinators. Emergency incidents will be classified by the level of response that will be required. The actual classification will be made by the location in charge or his nominee as information first becomes available on the incident. The level of response may change as more information becomes available or condition changes. So here are three level emergency. When we are going down below, then catastrophic damage or injury will happening more and more. Minor level 1 injury is minor injury. Minor emergency incidents with minor release or leak of products or other emergency. In case of any hydrocarbon leaks out, but in very minute amounts, then the environment property can be safely contained on site, which doesn't produce any offsite impact and doesn't seek any outside involvement. Now, in the major emergency, moderate amount of petroleum products will leak and it may cause damage to the crew members or staff, and which amounts to moderate spill or moderate release. Environment or property which could have safely contained on site, and this type of level 2 will be contained on site and very minute effect on the offsite resources and could seek any outside involvement in this procedure. Now, more catastrophic will be level 3, the disaster. Incidents with major release or leak of hydrocarbon products or other emergencies which amounts to large spill or large release of volume involved could poses a total threat to the safety of employees. Termination of emergency period. Next slide. So in case of any fire emergency that happen on site, so these are the chronological order in which we have to attain in order to contain the emergency. So first one is operator informed to the local CR, and they will try to extinguish or contain fire with help of nearest available fire extinguisher without harming anyone's self. The person will operate the nearest MCP. After activation of MCP, sprinkler system and siren got activated. Fire coordinator fire coordinator cell immediately take the charge. So everyone will be assembled at the assembly points. SIC cell rush out to site and take steps to mitigate emergency. All coordinates should be on their duty station and obey instruction from CIC. CIC will assume full responsibility of emergency action plan. CIC cell take necessary emergency control measures till situation is brought under control. So here are the aim and objective of the CIC team, which in order to attain or sustain the fire, so they have following objectives. First is operation and maintenance, shutdown of equipment, evacuation of personnel, medical assurance to injured, communication and assistance to local public. Thank you so much. Now my friend will take over.
Hello, my name is Yashpal and my roll number is 17 VPE020. Now coming to the resources part, resources means the facilities or the equipments and the teams that can be utilized in order to mitigate or in order to evacuate the personals from the particular emergency and disaster situations. And them which are presented here. First is controlling the emergency, second is medical facilities, and third is evacuations. Now, coming to the first, controlling emergency. It means that all the possible emergencies which are at the city gas distribution stations or at our any installations or at any locations that can be tackled by particular sequence and they can be tackled by particular guidelines. And there are sources which are based on the risk level. That means that there is a particular risk level is assessed, and above the risk level we should follow the different steps, and below, if the incident is below some particular risk level, then we should follow different guidelines. And the available emergency control systems and facilities within the installations are should include the below given points, such as fire and gas detection systems, the fire protection systems for the uh, fire protection systems for the particular installations and particular personnels, also firefighting systems, and the ambulance facilities that and nowadays each and every installations have such first aid systems and primary escaping and evacuation systems also, and communication facilities which can be via the radio signals or which can be via the telephonic medium, and the rescue facilities and personal protective equipments also. Okay, now required resources shall be suitably incorporated into the plan, and there are guidelines and there are some of the relevant code and standard and best practices are provided by the industries to the industry by such organization as PNGRB did, and the selections of this sources and local assistance should be provided to the installations such, and it includes the contact numbers and the names of the professionals working at below given locations, such as fire departments, police, hospitals, not only the government hospitals, some of the nearby private hospitals also, and municipal agencies, doctors and other relevant companies, pollution control boards and cooperatives, and if it is offshore facility, then there will be helicopter and air transport services also. Okay, now coming to the second part, which are the medical facilities. The details of the medical facilities provided by the PNGRB in ERDMP guidelines are as follows. The facilities for the first aid, which is indeed necessary at the first instance only, and the facilities available at the hospitals also, antidotes of the emergency medicines. Suppose we are working at the city gas distribution station, so we know what hazards could be done, could happen, and according to that the medical facilities should be there, and the pre-planned antidotes and pre-planned medical facilities should be provided to the plant in order to recover from that plant, recover from that disaster, and recover from that emergency in a very spontaneous manner. And details, as I mentioned in previous slide, the details of the specialist doctors and details of the special hospitals should be provided in the facilities itself, so that immediate point of contact can be contacted with the facilities and the doctor and the emergency services. Now, third and most important part, which is the evacuation part, and evacuation planning should be done, and the particular training should be provided to the personals, and for that the mock drills are nowadays very useful, and it helps the personnel in case of particular emergency, what steps should be followed by a particular personals, and what are the responsibilities of the particular working professional at the city gas distribution plant, and according to his planning and according to the training that the particular personnel has gained, and they'll act on the evacuation plan. And there are some gathering points, or we can say the assembly points are defined into the facility. And there are the sirens, and there are the codes which are given by the particular organization such as PNGRB, for that should be followed, such as magenta alarm, or such as different siren codes and different types of beeps that are present. And that means a particular message to the professional that should be conveyed by the beeps and sirens. And that code means something, that evacuate from this point or evacuate this point. And also the wind direction is very important during the evacuation. And in specific case of the fire and gas leakages, the wind direction plays a particular important role. And that factor should also be considered during the evacuation plan. And it is normally handled by the district authorities and affected by the industry, the installation manager or the installation professionals also. And okay, the evacuation plan should also consider the following points: the authorized person in the area of the site of the evacuation, which the personnel has the authority to lead this evacuation plan; the mode of communication between them, as I have said earlier, that via the sirens or via the particular alarms, and or via the radio signals also; and location of the escape equipment, the gathering points or the assembly points and the transfer points, which are the area which are considered safe from the particular emergency. And in that particular area, the some of the food and some of the drink facilities should be managed, so that the professionals which have some particular personal issues, that they can consume that food and consume that drinking water, so that in order to get some of the primary requirements, these facilities are provided. And now, roles and responsibilities of the stakeholder and external agencies. So we have seen the resources, and to use that, in order to utilize the resources, there are certain role and responsibilities to given to the external agencies and given to the stakeholder which are operating the plant and which own the plant also. And external agencies contains these many parameters, such as district authorities, the police department, the hospital department, health department, pollution control board, PCB, the national disaster and response force, NDRF, and as well as the state disaster response force, the SDRF. So these are the particular list of agencies which are work as external agencies, and stakeholder which are the main owner of the plant or main the operator of the plant, have the responsibility and particular roles that they should be that they have to follow during the emergency, in order to get particular help or get particular evacuation from this disaster, and in order to mitigate the situation.
Hello, my name is Bhavin Boricha. My roll number is 17BP015. Reporting of the incident. If the incident is under level 1, then entity should be called inspection for it. If the incident is under level 2 or level 3, the entity should be reported the incident to a board in a specified format in Schedule 6 by PNGRB with the near miss incident. This report should be submitted within the 48 hours after occurring the incident. The other major triggering incidents are fire more than 15 minutes, explosion or blowouts, fatal investigations, the loss above more than 10 lakh rupees, cumulative man hours lost more than 500, plan level 3 incident which like disaster or plan shutdown. After reporting the incident, now we have to take action by the entity. After reporting the incident to the board, nodal member of the board has to responsibility to inform the other members about the incident, and the nodal member have responsibility to communicate with the National Disaster Management Authority until the situation is normalized. Now, after reporting incident by entity, we have to terminate the termination of emergency. For the main aim of the termination of emergency is to give accurate information to the employees, neighborhoods, and district authorities which are working off-site emergency services to terminate the emergency. The emergency termination is declared through a siren, which has level 1, level 2, and level 3 emergency. Level 1 has level 1 siren code has a wailing siren for 2 minutes. Level 2 has total 8 minutes siren, which includes 2 minute of wailing siren, within 1 minute gap, 2 minute wailing siren, then 1 minute gap, and then 2 minute wailing siren. If the emergency is clear, then a straight 2 minute siren is placed. For level 3 termination of emergency, it should be called by the district authorities. Now, after termination of emergency, we have the recovery procedure of emergency. Now it includes we have to give information to the authorities which incident occurs, the investigation about the incident, the damage, how much damage has occurred during this incident, the recovery of the products, decontamination and cleaning this decontamination. We have to prepare a report which includes how the incident occur, what are our limitations and what we learned from this incident. Last, ambient air monitoring, which includes at a site and near a radius 5 kilometers air monitoring, which is used for contamination level affecting our health. Now is personal protective equipments. These are used during the incident and before the incident to protect our body parts, which includes gloves, blanket, shoes, our glasses, and the helmets, etc.
A very good morning to everyone. Myself Abhay and my roll number is 21. And the topic I am going to cover today is integration of ERDMP with NDMP. So basically NDMP stands for National Disaster Management Plan, who aims to make India disaster resilient and significantly to reduce the loss of lives and assets. As we know that the growth of chemical industry has led to an increase in the risk of occurrence of incidents associated with hazardous chemicals. Therefore, to mitigate this problem, national disaster management guidelines have been formulated. With this guideline, there have been a swift change by government for rescue, relief, and restoration approach to planning and prevention. Also, as we know that compared to natural disaster, chemical disasters are easy to predict and prevent. Therefore, an effective management is possible by adoption of preventive and mitigation strategies. Hence, by using these new guidelines, National Disaster Management Authority took up the task of strengthening CDM in recognition of gravity of risk posed by HAZCAM, that is hazardous chemical impact on the environment. As we know that chemicals which come from these industries, factories and big nuclear plants are harmful and dangerous for living beings and as well as environment. Hence, there are many short-term as well as long-term effects of these chemicals on both of these bodies. So the short-term effect include blindness, cancer, paralysis, heart trouble, gastric and respiratory abnormalities, while the long-term effect include genetic imbalance in humans and its impact on the future generation. Also, the soil and water sources remain polluted for a very long period of time. Institutional framework. There are many institutional framework that works for different region of one state or country for its disaster management. So some of the framework include first, the State Disaster Management Authority, or also known as SDMA. Also, the chairperson of SDMA is Chief Minister of respective state and his and her appointed 8 members. They are responsible for state disaster management plan and also for implementing that plan. The second framework is the State Executive Committee. It consists of Chief Secretary of the state, who shall be chairperson, along with 4 other secretaries of the government. Hence, the chairperson exercise power and perform function prescribed by the state government. Third one is the District Disaster Management Authority. They will act as district planning, coordinating, and monitoring body in accordance with guidelines laid down by state government. Members here include Deputy Commissioner as chairperson, along with Superintendent of Police and other members. The fourth is State Disaster Emergency Response Force. The state will create response capabilities from within its existing resources by equipping and training at least one battalion equivalent force for effective management. And the last authority is civil defense and home guard. And it is an volunteer paramilitary force and an age group of 18 to 50 are eligible for this. The civil defense and home guard were raised to provide protection to citizens in any untoward situation. Also, they serve as auxiliary to police and generally help in maintaining internal security. Thank you.